All right, here we are, live on Facebook, live on YouTube. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Drummers Education Connection.
Hello.
Well, I'm here with Bart Robley. Say hi, Bart.
Hello, Bart. Hi, Bart.
And I'm here with Rick Dojak. Say hello, Rick.
Hello, Rick.
And
hey, what's up, everybody?
My name's Jeremy Steinkohler, and we are just so excited to be here. We love getting together every week to put together some discussions about various topics about drumming and teaching and educating and all things that we like to talk about and like to learn about from one another. We're happy to have you guys engage with comments and hear what you have to say and get your input too. Before we get started, we are going to talk about publishing drum books today. And each of us is a published author, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But before we do, we just wanted to acknowledge that we've actually changed the name of our organization or program or whatever we are from the Drummers Education Network to the Drummers Education Connection. Rick, do you want to say something about that?
We just felt that connection was more descriptive for us. So in the future, we are DEC, deck. So you're going to be on deck, and we're really excited. And our focus is going to be on performance, insight, and inspiration. And we welcome your input, and we're just really excited about doing this. And we just want to offer a service to the drumming community. So we appreciate your viewing and any insights that you have. So thank you again, everybody.
100%. 100%. And if you are watching either on Facebook or on YouTube and you want to join in the conversation, if you just have a comment, leave it in the comments below on Facebook, and we'll get back to them. And if you do have a question, you want to kind of join in on the conversation, put it up there and we'll answer your questions live.
Yeah, great.
And one other thing too, our colleague, Chip Ritter, couldn't make it today. So we look forward to seeing Chip down the road.
Yeah, Chip will be down the road with us. He's got a couple things going on, took a little bit of a leave of absence, but he'll be back with us soon. And Chip is an awesome dude, and we really want him back because he's the guy that's kind of like the ringleader, if you will.
Yeah, we miss Chip.
Yep. Thinking about you, Chip. So we're going to talk about publishing drum books today. I read a statistic this morning that 80% of the population in America wants to publish a book, but the actual number of people that publish a book is like 0.0086%.
Wow.
So
it's no small feat to have an idea, to put it together, to write it, to edit it, to finish it. Sorry, guys, I got a leaf blower passing by.
Sounds like a 747.
Nice.
That's the biggest leaf blower on the face of the planet.
I bet your drums are louder, man.
Yeah. You want to hear?
Yeah.
So I just want to acknowledge, before we get into it, like how big an accomplishment it is to publish a book. It's a big undertaking,
It is.
And especially nowadays in the drum book industry, there's so many drum books. There didn't used to be. When I first started teaching, there were a handful of go-to books, right? There was Stick Control, there was Syncopation, there was Funky Primer, Realistic Rock. I don't know if you guys remember that one from Carmen.
Oh yeah, Carmen. Yeah.
I still work out of Realistic Rock from time to time. It's a great book, man.
Yeah. I used that one when I was growing up. Master Studies. Anyways, there's a bunch. The Jim Chapin is a great jazz book, but now
Advanced Techniques.
Yep. Now you go online and there's just literally hundreds and hundreds of drum books about every topic under the sun, which is, on one hand, it's fantastic, right? There's all these great resources out there for very specific aspects of drumming and different programs to get you started in whatever direction you want to go, from, the rank beginner to even professionals. I mean, I still work out of books all the time. Both in my teaching practice and for myself, right? That's just one of the ways that we learn, one of the ways that I learn. But I wanted to talk to you guys, or we wanted to talk about how you go about publishing a book. How does the process start before you even get published? Like, how do you think about, what made you want to write your book, Rick? What was it that inspired you to just think, I got to put this on paper for people?
Yeah, I almost felt that everybody was teaching out of the same books and have this thought that all the drummers are sounding somewhat the same. And I found that people were getting a little bit more, society was moving faster and people wanted a quicker result. And I was finding especially young players not getting the rudiment approach and that approach. And it just seemed that I was always getting people inspired by playing along to songs. So that's how I came up with the how to build a drum groove concept, where basically you've got a beat, and then I have a playlist of songs that are basically hit songs that use that beat from start to finish. So I got drummers drumming right away, and my business has just grown and grown and grown since then. So in a way, it was kind of out of necessity, and it was really fun. So so I just think any drummer who's got a concept that they use in their teaching, that it's a great idea to just start writing out the concepts and sharing them. And then it makes teaching more fun because you're coming up with your own system of teaching. So that's kind of how I got started with it. And it's gonna, now for me, this is gonna be a 4-book series, and I'm almost done with the fourth
Wow.
book. So it'll be 500 pages altogether with all of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
For you. That's
Good
fantastic.
for you, Rick. That's fantastic, man. That's great.
Yeah. It's about
That's
a
really
10-year endeavor though.
Right.
And,
Right.
So I published on my own. I just wanted to have control of every aspect of it. I wanted that flexibility, and that's worked really, really well for me. One nice aspect of it is I can edit my books as I go. So I'll print up 50 copies. If I, because I use songs, that I reference songs so often in the book. So I might hear a new song might get written, and then I'll figure, well, you know what, why don't I just add that to the playlist? And so by being self-published, I can do that. And I can, I even have an apps page at the back of the book, helpful apps. I'll make this available to people. And there's page 2 of it. You can get a snapshot of that. And so, of course, apps change. So, my next version of volume 1, I'm going to update those and add some new apps. So that's one of the advantages of being self-published.
That's really cool.
You have to do all the work. That's the downside.
Well, so Bart, let's talk about what you got with your book. You're published on, is it Center Stream Media?
I'm published on Centerstream Publishing, and then my distributor is Hal Leonard. And so what I did out of writing my first book, I actually have 3 books, 2 books and 1 study guide. But my first book, and I don't know if you guys feel this way, but my first book is kind of my baby. My other books, I love them. I use them all the time. But this is my first one because this one, man, it took so much time and energy to write this book. I wrote the book. I like what Rick said, out of necessity. My necessity was a little bit different. I really like that Rick, that you said that, you wrote your book because, people were all starting to sound the same or had the same exercises. I wrote mine. My necessity was I was studying with Ralph Humphrey at the time, and I was writing a book. I didn't know. I didn't necessarily, it wasn't like, I wanted to reinvent the wheel. I just wanted to write a book. But then from that, with my studies with Ralph Humphrey, he was giving me these exercises that I couldn't play. They were 4-way independence exercises, and I couldn't do them. So I started literally breaking these exercises down to phrases and the one note at a time type of thinking. In the independence section of my book, like if I'm trying to hold, for instance, a quarter note on the hi-hat, I'm playing 16th notes, I'm trying to hold a quarter note on the hi-hat, but then put an accent on the E beat of 4. And I couldn't do that. I was struggling with that. So I just started writing out these exercises, and pretty soon I had compiled enough exercises that I had written a book. So I thought, well, I started using these things in my lessons, and I was seeing headway with my students. They were making progress. And so I thought, well, I'm going to go ahead and put it together. And originally I thought, I was going to do like Rick did, and I was going to self-publish it. And through an acquaintance, I knew the owner of I got to meet the owner of Sinnerstream Publishing, and he liked my idea, so he picked the book up. And my thought was, well, if my distributor is Hal Leonard, that would be fantastic. And I knew at the time I had more than one book in me. So that was my first book, School of Hard Rocks. And there's a big section in the middle of the book, once again, where it's all independence. It's all four-way independent stuff in the center of the book. I knew I wanted to write a snare drum book. So I wrote a snare drum book called Rock and Poppin' Snare Drum. You can see that right there.
Great cover.
Thank you.
It's nice.
I just kind of along the thought process that I didn't necessarily want to reinvent the wheel. I just wanted to give my version of the wheel on this book. And so I that's what I did. I wrote my snare drum book with some solos that I had written in there. I put some solos that I had written in there like as exercises. After going through, like, if let's say again back to 16th notes, let's say you're learning about 16th notes, at the end of the 16th note section, there's a little solo that you can play. And then I recorded all that, put it old school. It's got a CD with it, so it comes with the CD.
What's a CD?
What's that? Well, what's a CD? Well, it's kind of like a Frisbee, but smaller. And then
with a big coaster.
Yeah, it's actually, it's a coaster right now. I put all my coffee on my CD. And then the third and final one, this is the Drummer Survival Guide. And this is a real simple thing that I came up with, is I have different phrases written out. Let's say that we're writing out a drum groove that we're listening to for a song. Usually most drummers will start with like let's say it's an eighth note groove, you draw the eighth note, the hi-hat pattern or the ride pattern, whatever it is. And then you fill in the blank, right? You might draw in the snare drum and the bass drum after that. If there's an open hi-hat, you'll draw it above whatever note is appropriate. And so that's what this is. This one's already kind of filled in with some stuff, but it's just blank eighth notes of the hi-hat. They're both in 1 and 2 bar phrases. And then I have a section that is 16th notes. Same thing. You can fill in the blank. Now on the 16th note, you'll notice that I did not put the hi-hat on 2 and 4, because sometimes you will be playing hand-to-hand 16th notes. And if you are playing a single-handed 16th note pattern, you can write the hi-hat in there. Again, fill in the bass drum pattern. Then I did the same thing with a shuffle pattern and with a jazz ride pattern. All of these are in 1 and 2 bar phrases. In the end of the book, there's some blank manuscript, and then kind of listening instructions, what to practice, books that you can study out of, DVDs and websites, and just different notes for the student to write in about their playing. So those are my books.
Workbook.
And yeah, it's a workbook. And again, blank manuscript in the back and stuff like that. So that one was kind of like what Rick said, kind of a necessity type of thing. And they're all definitely, like Rick said, an undertaking. I didn't just wake up one day and all of a sudden the book was done. It was a lot of work. And what I found, and I'm sure you guys have found this, that when I thought I was done with the book, I'm like, okay, I'm done with it. I was not done. I had quite a bit of work left to do, cover art, back art. I had to find an artist, typesetting, all that sort of stuff, so it's definitely an endeavor. Now, Jeremy, your book, Finding the Groove, correct?
Yep.
And that's on Hudson Music. Talk to us about that book. Talk to us about your book, please.
Where's my book?
So the book that I wrote and published a couple years ago, about a year and a half now, is called
Love that.
Finding the Groove. And this is actually a book, like it's not an instructional book per se. I mean, there's plenty to learn from it, but it's not a book of exercises. It's a book of words. It's actually a collection of essays about drumming and about teaching and about performing and about life lessons learned through music and through playing drums and through teaching. And for me, this was I have also all these other materials that I've put together and developed over the years that are part of my teaching curriculum. And I'm wanting to put those together into a more traditional instructional book. But I felt like I had to write this book first, because for me, this book was about wanting to put down, all these important things that I felt like that I had learned that I wanted to pass on to my students and to the drumming community. A lot of times when in my teaching practice, I tell stories about some gig I had or some show I went to where I saw something or observed something that, really resonated with me and helped me think about something differently, or opened up a new pathway of some patterns or whatever it is. It could be anything. And so I tell these stories to my students to help share this wisdom that I've gained. And or sometimes it could just be about how to learn something, how to approach something. It could be like, whatever, like a method about how to acquire something. And I thought I wanted to share that. So I had all these ideas, and as soon as I decided I was going to write it, I stayed up till like 3 a.m. that first night on my computer, feverishly writing down a list of all these topics and of all these stories that I had in my head. And, I ended up having to whittle it down quite a ways because there's just too much material. But then I started writing, and I started taking each topic one at a time and just dumping my thoughts about it. And then I would come back and revise and, organize that thought dump into an essay. And some of them are just, a page long, and others are maybe 5 or 10 pages long. So it was a little bit different process because it's more like writing, like writing a book with words than just putting together exercises and editing them that way. But, lots of overlap and lots of similarities. And like you said, Bart, when I thought I was done, I wasn't nearly done. I thought I was done. I was so excited when I thought I was done. I even posted on Facebook, I finished my book. And then then 8 months later, I was like, still working on it.
Yeah.
And for me, a lot of that not being finished was just, because it was all these essays having to edit the content, and organize it. And how does it make sense to group the essays? And there was quite a bit of redundancy because I repeat myself a lot with all these things that I'm trying to, get my students to understand. Like, slow down. I'll say it again. Slow down. By the way, when you're done slowing down, slow down some more.
Yeah.
So I had 3 chapters on slowing down. So, a lot of that kind of stuff. And then, of course, all the normal typesetting and cover. And my wife, by the way, made the cover, which I think was my idea. The snare drum with a compass on it.
It's cool.
Really,
Yeah,
that's a fantastic cover. I love that cover. Yeah.
That book is essential reading. I recommend it to every student. It really, you could learn all the riffs and all the coordinations and dynamics and all, but what to do with it. It's a book about, I think, about how to be a musician, how to apply it.
Right.
I think that is completely vital.
I appreciate that, Rick. And like you guys were saying, for me, that book came out of necessity. Like, it was a matter of, here are all these things that I think nobody or very few people talk about. I don't hear anybody talking about this kind of stuff. I mean, there's books about exercises till the cows come home. There's so much great material there. But here's this other side of, being a drummer, being a musician, being in a band, how to practice, how to acquire skills, all important lessons you learn, about being a professional musician that just wasn't around anywhere. So I thought that's what I'd like to share first. Then I'll follow that up with my spin on the accent studies and coordination patterns and stuff. But all these things. And I should say, as far as the publishing part, I got super lucky. I mean, the first place I thought to send the manuscript to was Hudson Music, just because I've seen so many books of theirs. I have so many books of theirs and DVDs, and those guys put out great products. And I thought, Matt, wow, that would be like just the ultimate to be a Hudson artist, up in rarefied company, I sent the manuscript, and Joe Bergamini wrote back, is like, yeah, we love it. We'd like to publish it. I was like, are you kidding? I couldn't believe it. Like, first try.
Hey, Joe. That's
yeah.
cool.
Hey, Joe. Joe's
great
awesome,
call,
man.
Joe.
Yeah, way to go,
nice.
Joe.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So But they were only interested in the digital version because they're just not selling a lot of hard copy books anymore. So most of what they're publishing now is digital ebook only. So they said, we'll give you a publishing deal for the ebook, but you're on your own. You can do whatever you want for the distribution of the hard copies. So I kind of did a hybrid thing where I self-published the hard copies through what's it called? Amazon Kindle, whatever, it's direct publishing.
Oh, okay.
So that's where you can get the physical book is on Amazon, and then the digital book is on Hudson.
So
Okay,
I have a question
cool.
for both of you guys in regards to that. Then on publishing it yourself and the printing. Okay, so so Jeremy and Rick, if you guys, I mean, do you guys do your own printing? Do you take it to a printer? How did that work for you guys?
Yeah, I have to take it to the printer myself. I have to absorb that cost right from the get-go, and printing is a huge cost too.
Oh yeah.
You know, about half of what I sell the book for goes right to the printer.
Wow.
Even more with the thicker books. But the good part about that is I can control the quality of the printing. You know, I have the spiral covers, so
Yeah.
I love digital too. You know, I've got all the Hudson stuff on digital, but I like a hard copy book too. I like to be able to take a pencil and write in the notes for my student and even put a nice little tab, like here's where you left off, you know, and put a tab there. And so
That's great.
so I love that. And then I can control the, you know, I have a color coded system for the book series. So, you know, you go to a printer, I always want to get a sample of it before we print, because it's stunning how often it doesn't turn out that way when you look for that when you look at that sample. Suddenly the blue book, you know, my second book, it looks purple. Like, come on, guys, don't print it. I didn't make a purple book. So, you know, that's one of the advantages. I have a lot of quality control over it, over the book.
Let's talk about, I think what might be of value to people who are watching this might be the advantages and disadvantages of self-publishing versus publishing with an established publisher or distributor.
That's a great topic. And first off, I think I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on what is publishing and what is distribution. What do those actually mean?
Right. Good. That's a good place to start, Rick.
So Bart, do you have it, or either of you?
You can go ahead,
Bart.
Bart.
Jeremy. You had a thought, Jeremy. Go ahead.
So publishing means that if you're reproducing your creative work to get out into the world. You know, anybody can write a book, you know, type it up and print it out on their printer and say, hey, I have a book, and that's a book, but it's not published. So there are two components, right? There's the printing, and then there's the distribution.
Right.
Or if it's an ebook, there's no printing, there's just the distribution. And, you know, there's all the stuff that goes with that, marketing and all that. But so the typical old way publishing used to work was you would write a book, create the content, you'd send it to a publishing house and a publishing house is a distributor. Like, they have the distribution mechanisms in place, like Hal Leonard is the biggest one. And, you know, they would, if they accepted it, they thought they could make some money on it, sell some copies. They might have it typeset if you haven't already done that already, you know, where making it look just right. They put the cover, and then they print it, and then they distribute it through their networks to their all retail stores and whatnot. And you can still get deals this way, you know, with traditional publishing houses. And you basically sign a contract with them that says they're going to print X number of copies, and you're going to get X number of dollars percentage out of every sale. It's not usually very much, just so you know. If you publish a book and you're lucky enough to get one of those deals, you might be making on a $15 book, you might be making $1 or $2 for every copy that sells. That's sort of the ballpark of what people typically make. So that's one of the things you give up for publishing with a traditional deal is you give up profits. You're not going to make a ton of money unless your book is just massively popular. But you do get it distributed, and you do get it out there, and you get the machine of all their marketing and distribution to work for you, so you're part of the catalog. So when stores, get the Hal Leonard catalog to look through what books they want to stock in their trays, your book's included in that. Versus with self-publishing, you're doing it all yourself, and like you said, you got all those costs up front, Rick. You got to manage all the printing and all this stuff, but that's it. You're not beholden to anyone. You can sell as many copies as you want. You get to keep all the profits.
Yep.
It's a bigger cost up front to self-publish. You have more editorial control. You get to pick the cover, all that stuff, make changes, but you got to do all the work to hustle it completely by yourself.
Yep.
I should say, even with a distribution deal like with Hal Leonard or Hudson or whoever, you still got to do most of the work. That doesn't go, it's not like you sign a publishing going, oh, great, now I'm done. Now it's going to sell millions of copies. Those guys are going to do their thing for me. No. You're one of hundreds of books that they carry in their catalog. And if you want to distinguish yourself and get the word out, you've got to hustle just as hard as if you self-published it.
Right. Exactly. 100%. That's kind of what I went through with my books and go through with my books. Every time I've written a book and I want to put a plug out there for this. We had a joke a minute ago about what are CDs. I've also done 3 DVDs for my same publisher. I did a DVD that went along with my first book, School of Hard Rocks. I'm really proud of it because I won a Telly Award for that DVD.
Cool.
Yeah, I got it right here. I'll show it to you guys in a minute. Wow. But and then I did 2 other DVDs for them, but it's all the same. Whether you're publishing a book or a DVD, it's the same thing, right? You get, in my case, I got an advance for everything that I did, and so that was nice to get an advance. But once again, I had all of my stuff was done. My books and my DVDs were pretty much push button. I had a great team put together around me that I felt I had a fantastic graphic artist at the time. I had a great video guy at the time when I did the DVDs, and I'm not going to lie about it at all. I would have not have won the Telly Award had it not been for my amazing producer, my video guy. He was fantastic. But yeah, you have to do. I had all of my work done. I turned it in. I got my advance, but again, it's an advance. I didn't recoup any money from the advance until I sold X amount of books, and then you finally start recouping a little bit of money on that. But the publisher has to recoup their money on printing. We've already talked about how printing is really kind of the biggest cost of putting a book out for sure. And like Rick, my books are spiral bound. I like to, 2 out of the 3 books are spiral bound. I like them to just, I'm going to put it on the music stand. I want to set it up there and it's, work with it. It's an easy way to do it, but it costs a little bit more, and it costs more for a few reasons. First of all, the spiral bound, and also the way they have to pack it when they ship it. They charge you for all of that stuff. And then, Jeremy, you're 100% correct. When Hal Leonard sends out their promotional material, there's my books and DVDs right there in the promotional material. So that's really awesome. That's fantastic. However, you're in there with a bunch of other artists, a bunch of other names. And so it's kind of like you've got to get your book sold and to get your product sold, you have to scream your name and what you do from the mountaintops. You have to be your own best promoter. And I think that that's the one thing that I would say to anybody that is publishing anything. Don't be afraid to talk about yourself and talk about what it is that you do. And one of the ways I kind of look at my book, and tell me if you guys think about it this way too, I teach out of my books. I teach out of a lot of books, but I teach out of my books. But being a published author, I think for me, it's more of like, this is, I believe in my book. I love my book. A lot of people have learned out of this book, but this is a really big business card. When you're selling yourself as a teacher, as an educator, as a clinician, as a possible endorser of a product, hey, I'm published by Center Stream Hal Leonard. That's a big business card. And just the fact that you got onto that was onto, Hudson Music or onto Hal Leonard, that's a big deal. And so that's kind of the way I look at it.
That's a really good point. And Rick, you've brought this up in conversations with us before. When you have a book, you've got something that lends you some credibility, right? And established. You've been doing this long enough to have something important to contribute to the greater community through your book, your materials, whatever it is you're putting out. And I think that's true. It's a calling card, and it helps you get the door. And being a published author is just good for you. It's good for your career. So it's a good thing to do. But I say that. I'll say just this caveat that you don't want to. If that's your main motivation for publishing a book, I don't think you're barking up the right tree, because
that's for sure.
You're not going to get rich from this in all likelihood. I'd love for anybody to prove me wrong. Please show me that you got rich from it. But you might have an influence in certain circles with your stuff, because I'm sure, like I know your guys' books are great. I use some of Rick's books in my teaching. Bart, I haven't checked yours out yet, but I look forward to it. There's all good stuff out there, but you want to write a book because you've got something to offer that you think is important to say. Mm-hmm. That's to begin with. And then if you can do that, and it's really of quality, it's of value, then it's going to act as a great calling card for you, because people are going to say, they're going to read it and they say, wow, this is a really cool thing. Good for you for putting it out. I'm interested in what you have to offer.
Exactly. I think it's just so well. I totally agree, Jeremy and Bart. I think you said it really well. It is like a big calling card. I studied and got some advice from Zorro and Daniel Glass when I put this all together, and Daniel basically said, man, don't expect that this is going to be a big cash cow, no matter how great it is. And the two books that are going to sell out there are Stick Control and Syncopation. They're going to probably capture the majority of the sales and then some. I'd love to see the statistics of that, but it definitely is your promotion. It shows that you're passionate about it. There it is. It's just the combination of teaching and I think gigging and public events. All of this just builds up, and it just comes down to passion. And
completely. Yes.
Yep. And I think the passion will prevail for all of us. And just get excited and go for it. I just really encourage people to do it. It's really, really fun. It feels good, and then you own it. It's your thing, whether you're published or not. You created it, and that's just a motivating and exciting thing. For all of us to consider.
Two things I want to do real quick is on our Facebook page, Jacob Sosa and Jim Royal. Jim Rosa,
hey
guys.
Jacob says hello all. So we're giving a shout out to anybody that chimes in on the Facebook page. So hello to those guys. Thank you guys for watching. I think too that publishing a book is it's kind of like anything in music. If talking about getting rich. I mean, when we were younger, all of us wanted to, I wanted to be in Learjets and play arenas and have cash falling out of my pocket and everything. I mean, everybody, that's something that I think everybody dreams of. But at the end of the day, when it comes right down to it, I play drums because I love playing the drums. I have had, I have an incredible life because of the drums. I have so many great friends because I play the drums. And if you're writing a book or you're writing a song or you're putting out a record to get rich, it's probably not, I mean, statistically, you could make some money. But even if you're talking, let's talk a little bit further, a little bit different subject, that's putting out an album, it's the same thing. Bands go out on tour to sell records, right? I mean, that's why they do it. So as a drum teacher, I do drum clinics and give drum lessons and do all this stuff to help other people who want to learn how to play drums because I love it so much, but also because, hey, here's my calling card. Here's my book. This is how I got to where I am in my playing, and maybe it'll help you. And then beyond that, it's not about do this and you'll be like me. It's not that. It's like, here, this is what I did to get where I'm at. Maybe you can take it to the next level. You can take it a step further. Do this stuff because you love it. Do it because you're passionate about it. Like Rick said, I love that. I think you got to put passion into whatever it is you do.
There it is. I know we're winding down here a little bit, but I do want to encourage anybody who's thinking about writing a book to get a mentor, or a few mentors on the topic. I'm so grateful to Zorro for his help, and Daniel and Gene Hoglan. And you're going to have to live with that book once you write it. So why not try to make it as best as you can? And you'll probably learn a lot in the process of writing your own book. So writing a book can definitely make you a better musician. You'll come up with an exercise and say, oh crap, I can't play what I wrote. So that's all. It's like, damn, well, I better work on that, And so
been there.
Yeah, right.
Do you guys know who Thad Jones is? The piano player, the brother of Elvin Jones.
Oh, yes.
Great jazz piano player and composer. And when he died in New York a few years ago, they found in his apartment, his tiny little apartment, on his piano, his own exercise book that he had written that he was still practicing out of.
That's amazing.
That's cool. That is so
that's
cool.
Amazing. I gotta throw this out there. And again, I know we're winding down, Rick. One of the things about publishing, about being self-published, that you have such control over. I don't know if this has happened to you, Rick, and Chip's not here. Chip also, let's throw one out to him. He's published on Mel Bay, and check out his book, Snare Force One. Check out Chip's stuff. Chip is an amazing author. Anyway, speaking for myself, I know that there's been, whenever I get my book back and I'm excited, I got a student there, I'm working out of my brand new book that just got published and just got printed, and I'm looking through it and we're playing through it, and all of a sudden I get to an exercise and I'm like, oh no. I go through my stuff with a fine-tooth comb, and I've not published not one thing where there is not a mistake in it. And I felt so bad. My heart broke the first time, but then I found the same type of mistake in the book Syncopation, which we mentioned by Ted Reed, one of the greatest selling drum book of all time. And so I didn't feel so bad. I was like, okay, well, if there's that same kind of mistake in Syncopation, I guess I can live with mine. So, being self-published, and the reason I throw that out there is because being self-published, you have control over that. In your next printing, you can go, oh man, page 32, I blew it. I got to fix that. And it's gone, not mine. They're out there for everybody to see.
There you go. Hey, a real quick thing that I want to mention to any Aquarian artists out there too. Aquarian has set up an online marketplace. Just go to aquarian.com and find that marketplace. You have to scroll around, but it's an outlet for distribution for Aquarian artists who write books or create products. And so Jeremy's book and my books are up on that. And it's just a really, really cool idea that a manufacturer is working with their artists to distribute their products and all work together. So thank you to Chris Brady and Gabe and the whole Mike Bruker and all the gang out there. And I just think that's very innovative for a manufacturer to work with their endorsees that way. And so I think it'd be really cool to see some other manufacturers thinking about that kind of idea.
Hey, before we wrap, I just want to throw this out there. Maybe we can all answer real quick. If you had one piece of advice to give to someone who's considering publishing their first drum book, what would it be?
Well, Rick, Roy Burns, I brought the book concept to Roy Burns as well. God bless Roy Burns, our hero.
Yes.
And Roy told me triple or more the amount of time that it's going to take to write the book and get it all done. And he also said to me, don't let anyone tell you how to write your book. Write it your way. So there's my quick advice.
On my advice, and it's funny, the live stream became a plug for Aquarian. We're all three of us are Aquarian artists, and everything that Rick said, I second. Everything that they do. Yes, Aquarian is the best of the best. They're my longest running endorser. I love everybody there. They are fantastic. Roy Burns gave me the same exact advice. And so my advice to anybody out there writing a book, yes, everything that Rick said, but for myself is just do it. Just write the book. If you really want to do it and you really want to put it out there, do it, because, it's your take on it. It's your voice. It's a way to get your voice out there. And it's a way to get your, if it's a drum educational book on how to play, it's a way to get your curriculum out there. If it's a book like Jeremy's, it's a way to get your thoughts out there. Jeremy, what about yours?
Great stuff, you guys. I agree with everything you said for sure. For me, I would say, it can feel really daunting to think about putting something out there into the world, something creative, when there's so much stuff out there already. There's so much great stuff out there. And why would anybody want to read what I want to write, or practice what I think they should practice, or listen to the music that I'm playing over all these great bands? And you have to remember that, we're all unique individuals, and we're not trying to be like anybody else. You're just trying to be as much like yourself as you can be. Stay true to yourself. So my advice as far as publishing goes is, if you have something you think that's worthwhile to say, then stay true to your vision, just kind of like, what Rick said, like, stick with your guns, put out there what you think is important for people to see. And, it doesn't matter so much what you get back. If you put your passion into it and your truth into it, when people read it, they will feel that. And they will, when you work through your exercises, they'll say, wow, this is a really cool way of organizing, or thinking about these kinds of patterns that I hadn't done before, or whatever it is you're putting out there. So just stay true to your artistic vision and to yourself and your voice, and put it out there.
Woohoo! I'm inspired, Jeremy. That's beautiful.
Me too. Yeah. Steve Greger just put something on Facebook. He said, hope everyone's having a great day. And he said, what is Aquarian? Aquarian is the greatest drumhead company on the face of the planet, and being part of that family is huge to all three of us.
Yeah.
And actually Chip too. Chip is an Aquarian guy. There you go. Exactly. There's super pad.
Dude, you gotta call us up, and we'll guide you through some possibilities for drumheads.
Exactly.
And why? That is if you want your drum head to last for years.
We're actually hoping to do because we're all such huge Aquarian supporters. We're hoping to do, when COVID chills out, we're going to go down to the Aquarian Warehouse down in Southern California, and we're going to do several live stream episodes from the Aquarian Warehouse. We're going to talk about all the different Aquarian drum heads, why we love them so much, what the differences are. So that's something to look forward to for everybody.
And we're going to make Chris take us all out to lunch too. In case Chris is watching this, we're going to make him take us out to lunch too.
That's good. You know what? Also, since we're doing a lot of shout outs, any drum teacher out there, I recommend you check out the Sabian Education Network, or SEN, out there. They are a great organization. We're just scratching the surface, but these guys are, Joe Bertamini and Dom Famulero, and the whole crew at Sabian have an incredible network put together of the top drum teachers in the world, and there's weekly interviews over there. So that's a really, really great program. So I highly encourage people to check that out as well.
Joe and Dom are fantastic people, amazing drummers, and more importantly, actually just fantastic people. Just, they put their heart and their soul into everything that they do and into every note that they play. And it's amazing being associated with Sabian and those guys. They're fantastic.
Well, thanks everyone for tuning in today. And remember, even if you're watching this after it's gone, if it's on Facebook and it's archived, you can still ask questions. We'll be checking the chat and we can answer them post fact. Thanks to Rick Stojak and Bart Robley. We missed Chip Ritter today, but he's here in spirit and he'll be back with us soon. My name is Jeremy Steinkohler, and we'll see you guys next week, hopefully.
See you guys
Take care,
next
everybody.
week.
Thanks for watching.
Thank
Peace.
you. See you guys next time.